Hey everyone, this is Matt Petrozelli. I'm the CEO here at Valley National Financial Advisors, and I'm sitting here with virtually with our VP and Head of Investments, Bill Henderson. And we're going to talk a little bit about responsible investing today. We're seeing a huge seismic shift in the marketplace on how people want to invest. And traditionally, in the early days of investing, and as people invested in stocks, it was all about shareholder return. Today, we're seeing it be more about stakeholder returns. So not just shareholders, but employees, clients, community, environment, in addition to shareholder value. And that's really kicked off this rush into social and responsible investing. So Bill, maybe you can give us a little bit of background on what is responsible investing and how it's become so popular over the last 12 to 18 months.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. And good afternoon, everybody. Responsible investing is what I think a lot of people are referring to as ESG, environmental, social, and governance. But I don't think we can, pigeonhole it into just those three things. Responsible investing, as we've seen in the last, specifically, as Matt said, the last 12 to 18 months, just involves thinking about what you're investing in and am I doing the right thing responsibly, and am I doing the right thing to sustain the environment, to sustain business, to sustain the ongoing, humanity? What if you want to really bring it down to that level or out to something that broad? But what we saw last year, and Matt, I think, summed it up nicely with the term seismic shift. Last year might have been the year where responsible investing, so those funds or strategies that are specifically labeled ESG, responsible, something like that, have actually performed in line with those that are not labeled that way, and in some cases outperformed. So what does that mean? That means you don't have to go to your financial advisor and say, I want to be a responsible investor and I'm willing to give up 2% to do so. That might be a noble cause, but you don't have to do that anymore. And I think the reason is so much money is now funneling towards the same objective that there's really no place for non-responsible investing to go. So I think the future is simply looking at what's out there and saying, guess what? I can be responsible and make money.
I think traditionally, when we're constructing portfolios 10 or 15 years ago, you might have a conversation with a client that you want to admit, kind of those sinful stocks, right? Gambling, maybe defense contractors, cigarettes and alcohol, or, those types of companies. What are some of those things that people, how have those themes changed over time?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Historically, you would put parameters or exclusionary parameters on a portfolio. So you would simply say, I don't want gambling, I don't want cigarettes, I don't want tobacco, I don't want specific things, and you'd exclude that, and then everything else would be in there. What you're seeing now is we are moving towards a place where all companies are now going to have to answer to the higher authority, meaning shareholders or stakeholders, as you put it, their board of directors and their executives, to make sure that they are following a responsible investing pattern. If you look at a couple of announcements recently, and there was one article in the Wall Street Journal where activist investors are now putting members on Exxon's board. So Exxon is one of those, it's a fossil fuel, right? But now, by forcing people onto the board that have a different view of fossil fuels, you're going to force Exxon into a new territory, into doing something different. So look at the gasoline fueling stations all around America. Eventually, they'll become battery fueling stations. You pull in, you charge your battery. The infrastructure is there. Exxon now has to say, well, if I'm going to make money, I'll have to make it in the green way rather than the fossil fuel way. And the way to do it is to put people on the board, hold them accountable. Specifically, the shareholders need to hold the board of directors accountable, and the board of directors need to hold the executives accountable.
Last topic. Anything else? You mentioned performance, being pretty good with ESG. Do you think that's a fluke, or do you think that's here to stay?
No, I think it's here to stay, simply because the volume of money now leading this trend. So you have the largest investment managers in the world. They're not these are outspoken chairmen out there talking all the time at the virtual Davos event. talking about this. So when you have that size money going down this path, everyone's either going to have to get in their way, which won't happen, or just pick up in their wake and go that way. And I really think you will see less and less emphasis on do we want to do this, and more emphasis on we have to do this. Money's going to follow the trend. And I think the trend going forward is really paying attention, being a responsible investor. And lastly, I will say this, Matt, that everyone can be a responsible investor. I don't think this is a binary problem where you have one person on this side not wanting to be responsible, the other person on this side being responsible. It's not something that you can just say, well, this is a very, an area that's not comfortable anymore. I think we're beyond comfortable. We can all do this and be very focused on our approach to investing.
And so our investment department obviously is hard at work, vetting and providing responsible investing options for our clients, correct?
Yes, Matt, we can immediately put an investor in a completely responsible investing sleeve. And we vetted all the providers. Most of the big research firms now apply some ESG metric or responsible investing metric to everything, every stock, every bond, every mutual fund, ETF. It's all out there. So it's not like you can hide from it anymore. And it's all, Morningstar is an example. They apply a ESG rating to every single investment out there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Bill. As always, it's a pleasure. And we'll talk to everyone soon.
Yep. Have a great day.